Welcome, everybody, to ZEN Hustlers Balance podcast. We are so excited to have you here. Today is a very special episode, but before we get started, just want to remind you, zenhustlers.com is an amazing resource community for entrepreneurs, hustlers, and busy professionals who are not feeling in balance, who are out of whack. Things don't feel right. They're overwhelmed. They have anxiety. They're stressed out. They have relationship challenges. And they're highly productive people. These are people that make an impact and they want to make a big splash in the world, but something's getting in their way, usually around the things that I mentioned around overwhelm, stress, and anxiety. And they have to do with diet, exercise, sleep, relationships, and all the different things. So through my own personal journey that I went through in 2017, this is my way to pay it forward. I'm Jared Brick, the creator of ZEN Hustlers, and the ZEN Hustlers Balance podcast, which is where we interview people that are living in balance on the edge. Balance on the edge means you're trying to do a lot in your life, and you're walking that fine line between jumping off the cliff and living at the top of the mountain. That's what that means. So that's the saying that we use for that. And we'd like to interview people that we feel like really have found that and model that for you to understand what does it take? What does it take to get there? So head over to zenhustlers.com, check out our books, our resources, podcasts. We have tech products, we have digital products, physical products, products you can put inside your body, like CBD to help you sleep. So things that'll make you feel better and think better and be more effective and calmer in your life. So without further ado, I get to interview one of my favorite people in the world, Mr. Brandon Peele. We met, gosh, it's been over 15 years ago in San Francisco at a Landmark Forum event in San Francisco. If you're not familiar with that, I will fill you in another time. And Brandon got up and spoke, and I knew immediately this is a wise person that I need to have in my life. And luckily, we reconnected back in Berkeley almost a decade ago, and I'm happy to call him one of my best friends. I've also helped him professionally grow his business and launch some books that we're going to talk about. He is the author of the amazing book, Planet on Purpose, and then the secondary book, Purpose Field Guide. He is a purpose guru. I love to call him that. Also the CEO of Unity Labs, which is a scalable culture change organization for distributed teams around the world. We're all distributed now, working differently. And how are we going to create culture change as a distributed team? So Brandon, thank you for joining us. I've been wanting to have this. We're going to talk about your upcoming book launching very, very shortly. And tell us about you and the book, buddy. How you been?
Well, it's great to always be with you, Jared. Yeah, I'm obviously really excited about this new book, but just share a little bit about my background and history. Grew up in the Midwest without any real sense of purpose or meaning. It was just all about success. And my first job out of college was 80 hours a week. So I know that hustle piece really well. And began to pull the threads on what was missing. Like, why was I at this level of success, but pretty unhappy? And through Landmark and a bunch of other work in my late 20s and early 30s, began to be enchanted with this idea of a purpose in life, and got trained and facilitated in it, and have, as you shared, spoken about it, done keynotes, corporate programs for companies like LinkedIn, the Navy, Google, and now I'm taking on the purpose of the United States with this new book.
Yes, you are. And tell us about, how did it come to be that you became a purpose guide and guru and leader in the world? Obviously, you've been through your own challenges. What draws you to purpose personally?
So not having it stinks. That's the
Well said. Well
the
said.
bottom line. But like I said, growing up in the Midwest in the 80s, that wasn't a conversation. It was just,
Yeah.
Be successful, marry your college sweetheart, move to the suburbs, replicate, move to Florida, die. That was like the trajectory for life.
Sadly, some people are still living that way. So if you're out there, folks, please, it's not the only way to live.
Exactly. So as I began to discover my own purpose, I was like, everybody needs this. This is a civil right, because without it, we're really just an amalgam of family trauma, societal trauma. and that's informed by systemic racism, sexism, overworkism, all that kind of stuff. And
Mhm.
so, in a sense, the journey inward into our purpose in life is a liberating process, a liberating structure, if you will. So, seeing that that was missing from most of humanity, and specifically in the United States, like 89% of folks want to have a purposeful career, but only 15% think it's possible in their current role or job. So there's this
Huge.
giant,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a purpose gap. And so I'm just trying to close that by bringing it to where people spend most of their time, at work.
Yeah.
So it's what we do at Unity Lab. We empower people to discover their purpose and activate it at work. And that's what's at the heart of this new book.
So as the CEO of Unity Lab, you're working with small distributed teams. Give us a day in the life of how does it work at Unity Lab? A little bit boots on the ground.
Yeah. So we work with companies of all sizes. Our platform, our model is infinitely scalable. So we've got startups that are 20 people, and then we've got divisions of large companies that are 40,000 people. So how it actually works is you get put into a small, diverse group of peers at your company. Uh, so
Mm.
imagine there'll be four folks there. They'll be as different from each other as possible, racially, across gender lines, sexuality, even political ideology. We use 20 other factors of diversity.
Mhm.
Then you move through a program together. Our flagship Purpose at Work program basically has you reflect on your purpose, take one new action at work, and then discuss that in your small groups with a guided with a discussion guide. And that's where you really get to learn about all these different people in your organization that you never would have met, but you get to integrate and understand what it actually means to be on purpose because you're hearing the experiences of other people too.
I love it. And I love that you've started it. And remind us the mascot of that company.
It is a bison.
And we are going to talk about that and what it means to be an American with these animals and how
Yep.
they represent and reflect us so much. So let's dive into the pain. You mentioned that only 15% of us feel like they even have the possibility, I feel like, to enliven their purpose. 89% of us, let's talk about the 89%, because that's most of us, right? Most of us don't feel a sense of purpose at work, what we do, which is the majority of where we spend our lives other than sleeping. I think between sleep and work, we spend the majority of that happening. And some of us aren't sleeping very well either. So that's not a great thing.
Mhm.
So tell us a little bit about what is the pain of going to work at a job for decades and decades that does not fulfill who you are as a person?
Yeah. So essentially, we've created an economy that is very command and control, focused around tasks.
Yes.
Is fine if there's nothing unique about us. If we were just, you know, mindless bots who could just download programs like Neo and execute them,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be a problem. The thing is, each of us is unique. We have a gift to bring to the world. We've got unique virtues. We've got a vision for the world that we want to see realized. And
Mhm.
so, big mismatch about work. It's the whole paradigm is kind of messed up. And the result, 97% of us are unhealthy. 78% of us are paycheck to paycheck.
Now, is
61%
this
of
Americans or internationally?
this is Americans.
Americans. Okay.
Uh, 61% of us are lonely, and that was from 2019, which was up from 46% of us 2 years before that.
Yeah.
So
And I'm scared to see the results after COVID and the pandemic.
yeah, and yes, we have mental health crises rampantly. The like three different children's psychological associations have declared a children's mental health crisis. Uh,
Yeah.
so we're sad, we're lonely, we're broke, and we're working ourselves to the bone. And that's not how we're meant to be.
Yeah.
That's actually not how we function for most of human history. It's only very recently that we decided that we needed to abandon our purpose and values and give give the best years of our lives over to a faceless, soulless organization.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think everybody can tap into that at some point in their career. If you've gone past this point now and you're at a good place, you remember the days when you worked at those jobs and you had that kind of career and you had that life. I know a lot of the people in our community are, feeling that because they want to make an impact. They want to make something to happen in their lives. They want to have a positive influence, whether it's, somewhat selfishly at first, maybe financially. They want to see something succeed. And then once they hit that mark, then they can give back and pay it forward, realizing that like actually they're all connected. You don't have to wait till you're a millionaire to give back and pay it forward. You don't have to work yourself to the bone 24/7, 365. It will either kill you or hurt you or damage everything around you.
Yeah.
So aligning with that purpose, I know throughout the work you've done working together, it's helped me figure out, okay, not every situation, not every client, not every day is going to align with what I'm doing. But if I have a bigger mission,
Hmm.
then that's something bigger than myself that I can align to, supporting entrepreneurs. And that's one of the reasons why I'm existing, is to support entrepreneurs and support business people. And this is one of the ways I get to do it. So I get to live my purpose even doing this today, which is really exciting. And so I always love the opportunity to do that. So again, if someone's in that headspace right now, it can feel often like you don't even know you're drowning. That's the scariest part. You know something's not right, but you don't really know how deep you're drowning because you're just got so much over you and you think you're being productive. That's the illusion myth. You
Right.
think you're being productive, you think you're on the right path, but you're just in this overwhelmed cycle that's not really getting you anywhere. And you don't even really know why you're doing it. And I think that why has to come into it, right? Like, so let's talk about the why. So
Yeah.
when, I do media creation, we want people to talk about their why story. So when you say purpose, how does that relate to your why story?
It's so the way I hold it is like purpose is like the Uber concept, and there are multiple aspects of it, and the personal story is one of them. Like, why is it that this thing breaks your heart, and this is what you're going to give your life to fixing or eliminating?
Yeah.
Um, Now, you made a point earlier about not knowing why we're doing things. Like during the pandemic, 2/3 of American workers revisited their purpose in life.
That's
Uh,
amazing.
I mean, it's great because we're like
Yeah.
now bringing awareness to this giant purpose gap.
Yeah.
So,
What's the purpose of work? What's the purpose of school? What's the purpose of all these
yeah,
organizations and institutions we built when they stopped?
yeah,
Right?
exactly.
We got a minute to be like, well, do we need this? Do we want this? Is this something we want to re-engage with after this ever ends?
Yeah, and I want to take a second just to like plug another book that is like
Yeah, please.
better uh, at describing how messed up it is. It's called Bullshit Jobs by David Graeber.
Got it.
And it,
We'll
and
put a link to it below. Yeah.
it's backed by data. So he's an anthropologist. He recently passed away, unfortunately. But in his studies, he found that 50% of roles and responsibilities are what they call bullshit, meaning like no discernible positive impact on anybody. Uh, they frequently involve tasks that are dehumanizing or morally abusive,
Jesus.
and they could go away tomorrow
And
without
nobody would
anybody noticing.
know.
They're literally just
Whew.
like
Yeah.
like
So you're
people
either
still,
being managed by someone like that or you are someone like that
yeah,
in one of these
and,
roles. Yeah.
and not because we want to be. It's
Yeah.
just how the economy has been constructed.
Yes.
So there's a deep pain, and it's like I said, it's morally and spiritually abusive to do something you know is bullshit. And
Yes.
so, coming back to purpose, when you get clear on who you are, you
Mhm.
can make that decision easily. Like, no, I'm not going to do that, or
Yeah.
we shouldn't be doing this. Let's revisit this process, this role, this business model. Specifically, now that we've got racial justice, beeping on our screens, we've got climate change. Like
Right here.
everyone's rethinking everything.
Right here.
Like
Yeah. It's
the
right here.
existing, yeah, they're,
It's right
they're
in front of us.
rethinking the existence of whole industries. Like I just heard about this thing called the LTSC, the Long Term Stock Exchange.
Mhm.
It's like it's a stock exchange that people are going public on, or that companies are going public on, but they have entirely different criteria to try to break the misaligned incentives between capital markets and human well-being within an
Got it.
organization.
Got it. So when you're thinking of the next step, and I know this work, because we've known each other for so many years, this work has really transitioned. So I want to, I feel like Planet on Purpose was more of a personal kind of one-to-one almost. It did, you did talk about countries and nations and states and organizations, but after reading it in depth, it's more of a personal journey. Now,
Mhm.
this book and the field guide was how to implement this journey in different ways. Now, but this book, Purpose Work Nation, is really about what? How do you describe it?
So, you know, thinking systemically, as you and I are prone to do,
Yeah.
uh, after George Floyd's murder, it really hit me how deeply out of integrity our nation is. Because we're one of the few nations that has this covenantal purpose:
Yeah.
life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, e pluribus unum, all created equal in a form of more perfect union.
Mhm.
And when we look at who we say we are and what we're doing in the results, it's like we're so out of integrity. And
Yeah.
so I started to look at, like, how do we actually fulfill on these really, glorious, beautiful principles? And when I kind of surveyed sector by sector, obviously the government's screwed up in so many ways we don't have time to go into, but trust in government is like only one quarter of Americans trust government, whereas over 70% of us trust our employer, and 94% of small business employees trust their employer.
Mhm.
We've got a lot of high trust in the business sector.
Mhm.
Now, other sectors like religion and education have been on a decades long slide and are actually becoming more segregated. So
Mhm.
less e pluribus unum is happening over there.
Mhm.
The workplace is the only place where we have sufficient diversity, like 5 generations in the workplace,
Mhm.
all these ethnicities, of course, men, women, everything in between and beyond.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's where we spend 2,000 hours a year. So if we're going to effectuate change, it has to happen at the workplace if it's going to happen anywhere, because
Mhm.
spending maybe 50 hours a year in our other commitments. So the first point of the book is that the private sector is the battle line, the front line for the fight for national renewal. Uh, and then the second point I make in the book is that the reason why this lack of integrity exists is we've been following the wrong idea, the wrong symbol. And so
Yes,
we've
I
got
wanted to talk about that. Thank you.
yeah,
Yeah.
our national
Yeah.
bird, the eagle,
The bald eagle.
the bald eagle, right? So what does a bald eagle do? It's a raptor. It comes down, it steals from other birds, scavenges, hunts, retreats to enjoy the feast, and then wash, rinse, repeat. It just takes, take,
Yeah.
and
For its own family only.
for its own family.
Yeah.
And much like the distribution of power and wealth in this nation, it is white on top, brown on bottom.
Interesting. I
So
never made that distinction. Yeah.
yeah, I didn't either until I started to research it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a terrible symbol. I mean, Ben Franklin hated it. He's like,
Yeah.
this is a terrible representation of our ideals. Now, when you think about our national mammal, which was only ratified in 2016 by a bipartisan uh, group within Congress, uh, this animal is social. It's a herd species. It
Mhm.
it comes with its own set of ethics that are essentially what we need right now to heal the soul of this nation.
Mhm.
So they're communal, they're protective, they put the weak, young, and old in the center of the herd. They play a lot, they're inclusive, they share space with all these other species. They're regenerative, they leave the environment better than they found it.
Mhm.
So we need to evoke a new myth, and I suggest that that myth is that of the American bison.
I love
Now, how do you do that? And that's where we get into the methodology that we use at Unity Lab. And I leverage other research from other methodologies too. But the reason why Unity Lab does what it does is because it is what is most effective in terms of behavior change, in terms of people being fulfilled and connected at work, and people loving where they work and wanting to stay there. So productivity goes up 175% when purpose comes online. Tenure goes up 7.5 months. organizational commitment goes up 3x. So
That's
it's
amazing.
this it's this win-win-win. Individuals win because they're fulfilled and connected.
Yeah.
Organizations win because they have people showing up with their whole selves doing the best work, and the nation wins because we're creating these connections across difference, lowering the temperature, and having people connect at the level that really matters, their purpose and values.
That's awesome. Thank you for explaining that. And thanks for giving an example of it with the bison and kind of demonstrating what it is. So we're going to take a short break for our sponsors, and we'll be right back with Brandon Peele.
As a busy professional, getting noticed online is how I generate business, and video is the best way to do that. It's proven that videos are the most engaging posts, but creating high-quality videos that look professional has always been hard, until I discovered PitchHub. PitchHub is my go-to resource for creating affordable videos for my website or any of my social channels that drive leads and increase my sphere of influence. PitchHub is remarkably simple to use and doesn't require expensive equipment or learning complicated programs, just any of the devices I already have. Let me show you how easy PitchHub's 3-step process is. First, add your script into PitchHub, where you can customize the message, then use the teleprompter feature to record your video. Next, upload your video and any other media, like logos, images, or even other clips you want added in. Now sit back and relax while professional editors create your personalized video for you. I used to worry making my own videos was too complicated, and I would end up looking like an amateur. But PitchHub enabled me to create dozens of professional videos, which helped me build trust online and made a huge difference to my business. Try it today and see how PitchHub can transform your business with the power of video.
Are you seeking to become a thought leader in your area of expertise? Do you want to have a following of people who are connected, engaged, who are listening to you and want to hear from you frequently? Are you currently an author, TEDx speaker, keynote host, coach, consultant, or entrepreneur founder? Are you hoping to be one of these roles? If so, you're going to love this. We spent years creating this unique and bold expert level online course called Break On Through. It's a 6-week video curriculum with myself, Jared Brick, a media marketing expert, along with 4 other top leaders. Our goal is to skyrocket you into thought leadership role at any stage and any age in your career field by leveraging media and the modern syndication processes. Right now, we have a special offer running for just the first 10 people to sign up for this exciting and engaging online course. Click below to learn more, and we hope to see you in the spotlight soon. Hey, everybody, welcome back. We're talking to Brandon Peele, the author of the upcoming book, Planet Work Nation, Purpose Work Nation. I apologize. His first book was Planet on Purpose, and he is also the CEO of Unity Labs, based out in San Diego, California. So, Brandon, we've heard a little bit about the pain of the worker, the pain of the company, even the pain of the nation, and how we're following the wrong icons and myths of this country of what we believe it to be, but it's not aligning and it has no integrity. So give us an example of how you see the vision of this working. Let's use one company, for example, if you'd like to kind of model this for us so we can get a tangible example here.
Sure. So I'm gonna share about a research study that we published. We looked at 103 leaders from a global biotechnology company that has got tens of thousands of employees, and put them through a program where they're discovering their purpose and values. They're learning how to lead inclusively. And the results of that program were that women and people of color had greater organizational commitment. I should say 90% of folks felt they could apply the concepts. 85% of folks took new actions. 76% of folks created new daily habits based on their experience. Now, that's all great from a learning and development kind of behavior change perspective. But the part that like moves me is that these connections that form between people that are different, 98% of folks felt respect from their diverse peers. 96% felt a sense of empathy. 94% felt that they could share their fears and anxieties with each other. So like
Wow.
real vulnerability,
There's
real
someone to lean on. There's vulnerability at work. There's authenticity.
yeah.
Bring
And
yourself, have something to share.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And what we found is the experience was so powerful for folks that they kept meeting after the program. They're like, we got to
They're like, I don't want to stop this. This feels good.
they're like, we got something here.
Yeah, this
So
feels good. Yeah.
it like the research supports it, the evidence supports it. So really, like, the call is for organizations to unleash the potential of their people and heal the nation. And it's not that hard to do. I can tell you how to do it.
Yeah, no, and so break down a little bit of the book structure. Does it start with the problem or does it jump right into the solution?
It starts with the problem. So the book is
Yeah.
basically in two parts,
Okay.
right? The first half is more of owning and embracing really who we are as a nation right now, our history, a lot of stuff that many folks are really upset that we're talking about now
Yeah.
around white supremacy and climate change and rape culture.
Mhm.
So we have to own it. So the first three chapters explore
How we
what's
could do that.
yeah, we did that, and then we evoke a new national myth and look at the stakes. So I am unfortunately very intimate with a lot of the data about the desire for violence right now. And so
Mhm.
chapter 3 is really all about, like, if we don't change, the republic will most certainly fall by 2024, if not 2022. Like, people are, there's 838 hate groups, 10 million Americans have white nationalist sympathies. Like,
It's
there
big. Yeah.
it's big and it's bad.
Ripe,
And
and it's ripe to, catalyze into something dangerous.
yeah,
Yeah.
so we lay out the moral and economic argument in the first half of the book, and the second half is all about how do you activate it. So looking at what the ethics of the bison look like inside of an organization. How does it impact wellness, culture, learning and development, diversity, equity, inclusion? And then how do you actually create these social learning experiences so that people become fulfilled and connected?
I love it. So, a lot of this has been, and it makes perfect sense that people have felt like they have to solve these problems on their own.
Oh,
Go
yeah.
out and do it on your own, solve it. It's your problem, fix it yourself. And I love what you're doing because it's a shared responsibility that your company can take. They have a lot more resources than just you. And you can lean on other people and you're not alone. We're always saying here at ZEN Hustlers, like, you're never alone. It may feel like it, but you're never truly alone. And in your work, now it's about your workplace actually assisting you and not just like, oh, here's a health stipend to
Right.
do some wellness on a Thursday afternoon for yoga class. It's way more than just that. And that's what companies have thought. I love that you're redefining what a wellness program looks like through the entire recreation of how the company organizes, communicates, empathizes, and just has a different purpose. So, back to my point, is there a company that we can kind of reference for people or is on the path that you feel like that we could look to as a shining star?
Yeah, there's a handful.
Okay.
Unfortunately, not that many.
Yes. Yeah.
So I would look at Eileen Fisher Clothing.
Mhm.
Look at Patagonia. I'd look at LinkedIn, Salesforce. There are
Mhm.
pockets within Google that are,
Thriving.
Google's enormous, but
Yeah.
there are pockets that are thriving. Now, unfortunately, it's mostly West Coast companies. There's a handful in the East, but it's mostly West Coast companies.
Yeah.
And that's primarily because this is where people have been asking these questions around purpose for a little bit longer than the rest of the nation.
Yeah. I mean, the revolution started out in the West mostly in a lot of different ways. And the West has always been a place where people have come for growth. Whether it's the expansive space or the new beginnings, or I want to start fresh. And I came from somewhere else in the world or in the country. Even I know for myself, I came from the East Coast and I felt personally I could start fresher on the West Coast and embody new ideals and virtues. So it doesn't surprise me at all that it's kind of born here in the West and then spreads globally. Luckily, we're in a global culture now, and hopefully this work can spread quickly. So, we're wrapping up a little bit. What's your vision for, not just the book itself, but the impact this book can make by people embodying it? And obviously, we're going to put links so that people can get to the book and order the book, order it for your CEO, Get it for him before the holidays. Don't wait till Christmas to get it for him or her. And, figure out, how are you going to kind of take responsibility for this?
Yeah.
Taking responsibility for you. You want to make an impact for you personally, but now we have this, at work responsibility too. I work with co-founders that are really talented. And I want to see them thrive so that we all thrive.
Yeah.
And so, give us an example of how can we adopt this into our lives now at work? Do we get the book and then hand it to someone? Do we start to practice it ourselves and then see the results and then pass it forward? How would you envision people using this work?
Well, first, I want to start big picture,
Yeah.
because we need to have a sense of where this is headed.
Yeah.
This is not, we're not just talking about like bean bags and kombucha on tap, right? Like we're talking about an entirely new
But it's
paradigm.
okay if you have kombucha on tap, folks. Just saying. Here's a plug for kombucha.
We're
Those
actually
are the baby steps, right? Those are the baby steps. Those are the pebbles in the pond.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with it, but
yeah,
the vision for where we're headed is really Dr. King's beloved community, where everybody is acknowledged for their dignity and their gifts, and it's celebrated and equitably compensated. So imagine if the 20 largest employers in your area were to activate purpose and belonging inside their organizations. That would be a sea change in terms of how people are showing up for themselves, their families, and their communities. And also think about the increased revenue that is going to be in that area, because somebody who feels a sense of purpose and belonging contributes $20,000 more in productivity a year. That's the average.
That's amazing.
And so that translates into more resources for individuals, a higher tax base for public works, and a culture of belonging, a culture of celebrating people's uniqueness. So this is what's possible when we really, flesh this out, take it fully across the nation and hopefully beyond the nation. Now, how do you begin? That's a different question. So there are multiple ways to engage. As you mentioned, getting this in front of the CEO is the best way. Not that folks in HR, learning and development, wouldn't be interested in it, but the CEO has to have that switch flipped inside of them for them to see that this isn't just about training or culture among people who work in different places and look different and vote different, but it's a really a paradigm shift, to use a very tired phrase. So that's one way. The other way is to form a small group and read the book together. So the book has, at the end of each chapter, is a summary and 4 discussion questions.
Got it.
So have a book club
People
over
have a
6 weeks.
discussion with. Yeah. So
where you're unpacking it. And then you'll have a base of folks within your organization who get it and can then start to socialize it even further. So those
I
are
love that for distributed teams, because then you have different cultures mixing across the world that can ask these questions. So I love it, even just as a culture exercise in your company, saying, hey, we're going to send this book to 4 different places in the world of our company and have discussions, like a book club almost, for culture in the company. So it's a great idea. So as we wrap up, what's your personal vision that this has an impact in and changes people's lives?
So the word that I think so few of us have ever really experienced is belong. Like, what does it actually mean to feel safe and belong?
Yeah.
Because most of us are hustling, we're unhealthy, we're strapped, we're lonely, mental health, all that kind of stuff. Like, what if you had all your needs met and everyone around you had all their needs met? What is then possible? Their purpose is online, they care about each other, they respect each other's dignity. So my invitation is to take on belonging as almost like a mantra. Like, what would it be like to experience Dr. King's beloved community? What would it be like to truly belong at work, truly belong in your community, knowing that you always have enough? And that's where we're using the private sector to move that vision forward.
I love it. I'm just taking that in for a minute. Thank you. So we're wrapping up. You can get Brandon Peele's new book, Purpose Work Nation, out in February 22nd, 2/2/22. I love the auspicious date that you've chosen. It's going to be available on Amazon. Is it going to be available on any other platforms you're going to be selling your book?
Eventually, but right now just Amazon.
Okay. And is there a website related to the book?
Yeah, it's purposework.us.
Purposework.us. So we'll put links to that so you can get to it. And just want to thank you again. You always elevate the game. You're asking the tough questions. You're coming at it with so much integrity. So thank you for the work that you bring to the world, Brandon.
Thanks.
And I know it's not going to impact just a few people. It's really going to touch a lot of people and change the way that we're working, because we spend so much of our lives at work. So thank you again for your time. Anything you want to leave us with?
No, I'm complete. This has been great. Thank you.
So just to wrap it up, we're here with Brandon Peele, and the word of the day is belong. How would you feel if you actually truly belonged to your work, your life, and had a sense of community and kind of embodied that? So I'm going to take that on as my mantra for how would that feel? So definitely check out Brandon's work, his past books, his new book coming out. And at ZEN Hustlers, we're going to feature it in the read section, because don't forget, leaders are readers. Everyone who's a leader must be a reader. You can't only think it, you got to be it. You got to learn from others that are smarter than you in different areas of your career. And that's what I've done, and it's always helped me in my career. So thank you again, Brandon. We love having you on. We're going to have you on for your next book and any other time you'd like to join our community. And so ZEN Hustlers, again, guys, is a great place to find resources to help you dig yourself out of that cave that you may have built for yourself. Let's realize that. Maybe someone else has built that cave, but I guarantee you probably built that cave around yourself. So how are you going to get out into the sunshine, feel good, feel whole, and feel like you belong? So thanks for joining us today. ZEN Hustlers Balance is supported by Jared Brick of Brickhouse Media, and we'd love to thank everybody who's involved in making this thing happen. And just take care of yourselves out there, and let's all try to find more balance on the edge, folks. Thank you.